so today we're going to be taking off the oil pan on the SR. We have a new custom oil pan out of the kit we bought to install the SR20 into the Miata. So we're going to be taking the upper oil pan off and then the lower one, and then we're going to replace this whole thing. So basically what's going to happen is the new oil pan is actually going to sit back here, so it's more flush. Otherwise this is going to hit the chassis, the crossmember bar in the car. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is remove all 10 of the upper oil pan screws.
Which is actually a 10 millimeter.
So while I'm taking these off, Tyler's going to take off the upper, or the lower oil pan bolts, which I think there's like 11 or so.
Which are 12 millimeter. Undo a couple bolts in here, which we'll show you to actually get this out of the way. So we're just going to use a screwdriver to try and pry this up, because even if we bend it, we're not using it, but we're going to try not to.
Tyler bent it.
Yeah.
Although it was already fucked up. There was already a dent there. So once you have the lower oil pan off, you're going to have to take all of these bolts off, which there's 6 on mine, but I think there's supposed to be one here, so I think there's supposed to be 7. Not sure, but we're going to go ahead and take these off. Okay, so once those are off, this little plate will pop off. What you're going to want to do is take these bolts here, which I believe there's 4. That way you can take the lower oil pan off, along with the bolts on the side that need to come off. Don't forget there's also these 2 nuts here, and they're 10 millimeter.
Now from what I read online, there's this little gap right here, which is actually where you're supposed to pry this off. So what Chelsea's doing is she's just getting a little bit of the extra gasket off, and we're going to try and stick some screwdrivers in there and pry this thing off real quick.
Pretty much all he's doing is scrubbing it down a little bit, compared from looking like this to now that. Because you want a clean surface in order to put the new gasket on. So we're just gonna go around and do the whole thing.
We're just gonna go around and do the whole thing. You're such a dork.
Alright, so we got the oil pan off, upper and lower, cleaned up all the gasket off of the block itself. So now we're going to try and test fit the Thai-Phoon kit that we have. Here's what the sump kit looks like. So it comes with the new oil sump with it relocated in the back of the engine instead of the front. So it's going to look like that. And then we have the new plate and then a bag of bolts, and they're all individually labeled, which is really nice. It also came with the booklet of instructions. So the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that the main bolts don't interfere with the sump, because they said that depending on the SR20, I guess there's different bolts and some of them can hit the intake sump piece, right?
Yeah, the intake for the oil, I guess some of them are a little bit taller than the other ones in different models. So what they recommend is actually taking some foil and kind of crumpling it up and putting it over the bolts that would actually come into play with that one. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the aluminum foil, put them over the bolts, and then slowly lower that down onto it just to make sure that everything's going to be okay. Because if not, we're going to have to take off a couple of the bolts and get them machined down.
So I'm pretty sure that these are the bolts that they're talking about. So we're just going to put a few pieces of foil on top of each one of them. Fingers crossed that it doesn't interfere, because if they do, you have to shave down the bolt itself, which I'm not really looking forward to. So hopefully it all fits. Okay, so this is what we did. We just put a sheet of foil over those bolts. Then it said to put 6 bolts in and start tightening it, right, Tyler?
Just by hand.
Just by hand. Hey guys, so today we're going to be putting the oil baffle onto the engine. So we have the baffle and the bolts that were supplied from Thai-Phoon, the kit we bought. Okay, so it's pretty self-explanatory. The holes line up with the main bolts here, and then it goes in that way, and then you're going to put in all of these bolts. Okay, so don't forget to put Loctite 242 on each of these bolts, because we just forgot. The instructions just say to tighten them until they're tight. Don't overdo it. Okay, so the 2 screws that come out of the oil pump block adapter kit, all they are is locating pins for the adapter, as you can see. So what these are going to do, we're going to put Loctite 242 on these as well, and they're going to go in these holes here. But it says just lightly tighten it like that. Okay, so see how the threads are still up top, and that's just like slightly tightened.
Okay, so the next thing that it's saying to do is to actually put a little bit of oil on these. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set them in there and test fit it. Because what we want to do is put the oil sump back on and tighten it down just to make sure that everything's going to be okay. And we need to check to make sure that this on both sides is making contact. So we're just going to do that real quick.
So now we're just going to tighten this down to see where that adapter's hitting, if it's hitting in the right location.
Yeah, looks like we're good.
See how the oil ring sits around here? That's exactly where we wanted it to be. Now to install the oil pan! Woo! It's so hot today, we went and bought new snowboards. That's how hot we were.
Can't handle the heat.
Alright, so now Tyler's just prepping the surface, getting it clean to put the high temp gasket sealant on it. And then we're going to screw the oil pan down. And then we should be done with the oil pan. Hopefully everything seals right.